It's a pleasure. It's a
Thank you
pleasure.
for your time this evening.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna jump right in. You've been doing this for over 4 decades.
45 years this year.
Wow.
What keeps you going?
Tomorrow is our
Oh,
40th
wow.
anniversary.
Yeah, that's right. Tomorrow is our anniversary. That's right.
Oh, wow.
Take us back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Man, okay. The beginning is I'm 12 years old, and I'm just playing in the band room. I'm just playing piano, playing a bunch of songs that I knew just from radio and just learning, and a bunch of theme show of
Yes. Yeah.
songs that I love to play, and then I remember glancing at the doorway. There was like a crowd around me after a while, and then I remember glancing at the doorway, and Curtis and at the time, I remember Cedric was standing over in the corner at the doorway, just kind of looking. And I remember making eye contact, and I had no idea who they were. I had not met them yet, right? Hadn't met Curtis yet, and I remember there being like a connection, and then I just looked back at the piano and then continued playing.
And he was playing. He was playing Captain Tennille's "Love Will Keep Us Together."
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I remember that.
Wow.
Next thing you know, I'm going out for band, and that turned out to be a 17-piece jazz ensemble. So now I'm like, okay, I'm 12 years old. I'm learning blueses and how to improvise and solo over changes and things like that, and things that I wasn't privy to before. You dig? Just a regular classical upbringing, but I also played like things that I heard on the records and the radio. And then what we did is we formed a group out of a smaller combo out of that larger jazz ensemble to perform in the talent show at our middle school there. And next thing you know, 45 years later, Curtis and I are still playing together, still making albums, and still loving it.
What keeps it going? I imagine at this point it's almost it is a relationship. And how do you keep your working chemistry going? How do you keep your friendship chemistry going, your creative chemistry going? How does that work to where you still 45 years later want to be in this thing together?
Well, I think we've over the years as we matured, we've learned to. I mean, because we grew up like brothers. You know what I mean? So, sometimes brothers have their ups and downs, but we've also learned that in maturing, that I guess the mutual respect, has developed between us, and we work together without actually being in each other's way. And we've learned to, plus there's a certain camaraderie between us because of the years that we've put into this together, and like I said, I love him like a brother, and hopefully he feels the same way. And, we've, and our chemistry shows on stage also, because sometimes we'll hit the same rhythm without even looking at each other or even thinking about it, and all of a sudden turn and look and say, yeah, you know what I mean? So, so, and it's not just work with us. It's a lot of fun. He's taught me a lot, especially about studio things and about writing and using sounds and and stuff like that. Hopefully, I've taught him some things about rhythm and because I'm a drummer, he's a keyboardist. I can definitely say my writing has improved because of him. Him being on my kind of not on my case, but giving me ideas about different keys to write in, not just sticking write everything in one key, and just and giving me inspiration to write different types of stuff. you know, we actually, if you listen to the stuff that we write some stuff together, but we also write separately. So you'll hear a difference in what we write separately. But when we bring it together, you'll hear the two sides come together to make something that's, you know, we consider sometimes to be really magical and mystical.
Where did the name come from?
Ooh.
Who named the group?
Actually, my stepmother named the group. Her name was
Wow.
Curtis Harmon. She's passed away now, but way back when we were, I guess we went through an array of like different names. Like our first name was Galaxy because we were in junior high school and playing the band, trying to come up with a name for this talent show, and then which actually we only took third place. But we're the only ones that actually continue with the
right.
But we went to Dallas with Touch of Class, Classic Touch, and then we finally settled on Pieces of a Dream. When she told us, when we heard the name Pieces of a Dream, we thought it was too long. You know, as kids, we didn't really take to it right away. It was kind of wordy, you know, for us when we, you know, was listening to groups like Commodores and Shalimar, these, you know, one name groups, and so you know, it was just a little wordy for us. But that name came from Stanley Turntine's album, Pieces of Dreams. And she thought that we were, at the time it was three of us, three pieces looking for one musical dream together. And so that's what that name actually meant. But as the years went by, we kind of got used to it. Our audience really liked it, you know, and it became a household word around Philadelphia, you know, and then around other parts of the nation. So that's the story of Pieces of a Dream.
We even got to play that song with Stanley. Turntine. We got to play Pieces of Dreams with Stanley Turntine. So that was just you talk about an honor, you know, at Pieces of a Dream, playing Pieces of Dreams with Stanley Turntine.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Grover. Whoa.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you next. How did you encounter
Grover? Yeah, we met him during we were the house band for a TV show in Philadelphia called City Lights. It was a variety show, and we would play in and out of commercials, and sometimes, well, more than often, we would back the musical guest. Sometimes they would use a track, but we got to back Dave Valentine, the Iceman Jerry Butler. We got Clark Terry, you know, the teeth out the mouth. You know, we did mumbles with Clark Terry, man. You know, and, and one of those slots was Grover. And so we backed Grover for 2 tunes. And I think 14, maybe 15 years old at that time. And Kurt's like 16 or 17, you know, tops. And so then soon after that, we were at the Bijou Cafe performing at where Grover did his Live at the Bijou, you know, the Mr. Magic. And Grover was in the audience, and we asked him to come on up on stage if he would, you know, bless us and play Mr. Magic with us, and he did. So now we're playing Mr. Magic with Grover on the Bijou stage. Wow. And I'm like, well, I guess 14, 15 years old, but no more than 15, because, well, when the album came out, I was 16. So then he you know, pretty much soon after that signed us to a record deal, and man, it was then he produced the first album and the second album and the third album was like 81, 82, 83, boom, 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 like that, you know.
And we toured with him.
Yeah, and then we toured with him too. We would open for him as Pieces, and then we play with him in his rhythm section as well. So we did that for years, right? And then, you know, you had Warm Weather and then Binary Groove and 454 and all these other things that were basically the, you know, helping, you know, along with what Grover and Spiral Gyra was doing, helping to form what smooth jazz became, you know, is. And because there was no such thing when we were doing that back then. There was a thing as smooth jazz. That phrase has yet to be coined, you dig? So yeah, we were just doing, you know, music, and it was versatile because we had not just instrumental, because we had vocals, things that were kind of funky, things that got not only on what were the jazz charts at the time, which was mostly college stations, but we were on power stations and adult contemporary stations as well. You know, yeah, with things like our vocals and Warm Weather and 454 and Please Don't Do This to Me, and you know, things of that nature. So I think one of the things that's been Pieces of a Dream's trademark over the years has been our versatility. You know, I remember way back, Kurt, back in the day, they used to ask us all the time, well, how would you classify yourself? Well, you know, what kind of, remember, get that a lot, classify yourself. We just got tired of the classification, like, because we, you know, especially back then, we were playing straight ahead, you know,
contemporary,
contemporary, you know, yeah, all of that, you dig? And so our answer became, you know, what type of band are you? What type of music do you play? Versatile. You know, versatile. That was the answer. That became our answer.
and that put us in a category all by ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the 25th album, is that correct? So let's get into it. Let's talk about Fired Up and making an album in the pandemic, and just what you want the flavor and the musical like message and vibe to be going with this album.
Well, I think the Fired Up, I think will probably become one of our signature albums because of the pandemic. I would probably say it didn't, you know, because a lot of interviewers asked us if it hindered us in any way from the way we record or our process in recording, or you know, just and it really actually kind of made things a little innovative, but we were able to work around that and find other ways, like for instance, Zoom. You know, I held my first Zoom studio sessions, you know, live studio sessions over Zoom with my bandmates, you know, and actually it worked just fine, you know, because the other thing is we were actually used to just sending tracks and have them do whatever they do, and then they'll send the tracks back. This way, I was able to actually produce the guys that I was on Zoom with and get exactly what I wanted from them. So, you know, so the pandemic actually, you know, made things a little innovative for us, you know, not really, it didn't hinder us in any way, as far as I'm concerned anyway, you know. But this album, I think we were able to put a lot of, I say for myself, I was able to put more recording time into it because I was able to work at home in my own home studio and do things the way I wanted to do them on my own time. So when I came down here, I was like I was in my own world. As long as the world could blow up, as long as nothing hit this studio, I was cool. You know, so it made things very interesting, but very nice for me.
So you talked about not having a category and describing yourself or your sound best as just versatile. So around here, we like to call that bridging the gap, because you, first of all, you kind of carved out your own sound in your own way. As you said, the phrase hadn't been coined yet, smooth jazz. But so that's a gap bridge, is where you couldn't be defined in any one category. But also, we also talk about bridging the gap in terms of generations. and music. So we know that you had the young phenom Justin Lee as part of your album, and Ivan had the pleasure of talking to Justin Lee. So I kind of want Ivan to talk to you guys about just, whatever he wants to ask you about working with the young man. And he sounds like he's the same age you were when you started.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the things that in thinking about this interview and in thinking about, talking with you all, the first thing that was top of mind for me was, Philadelphia and the great history and lineage of music in Philadelphia. And, going all the way back to, the Clef Club and all these things. And so I wanted to know, like, for you all, I mean, you had Grover, but even pre-Grover, like, were there, folks in your neighborhood, at church or in school that, really served as mentors for you all to really get you on the, on that path?
Yes, definitely. There, I have to give a lot of my not just playing, but some of my approach to playing, as far as showmanship and inserting charisma. I'd have to attribute a lot of that to the late great Gerald Price Jr., who was my first jazz piano teacher. And I first started studying with him when I was 12 years old. This was shortly after I went out for band. And then it's like, oh, okay, band. Like, oh, wow. And so he was one of the main guys in the Philly area that was helping with the Ada Lewis Middle School Jazz Band as well. And the director was a saxophonist by the name of Tony Williams, not the drummer. Tony. And he was also an incredible saxophonist that also worked at the middle school as one of the sort of a vice principal type of thing. But he was this awesome musician that would do gigs around the area and outside, and then so would Gerald Price, and then we would hear them and like just be in such awe, and then they would teach us these things, and then I started studying with him and like, wow, learning chord changes and how to play over them and solo over them, and then they were helping develop the main jazz ensemble that was the Ada Lewis Jazz Band also. So you had all of that going on at the same time when I'm like 12, 13, 14 years old. You dig? And that was the beginning of my musical lineage.
Wow.
I'm actually third generation musician. My father and grandfather. My grandfather taught music improvisation at Temple University.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and he was also a well-known pianist in the area and played up at Stokely Castle in Reading all the time. And my father, actually, who was our manager, our first manager, he played vibe. He was one of the most well-known vibists around Philadelphia. And his name was Danny Harmon. And he also actually played with Tony Williams and Gerald Price. I have a musical background in my family. My father actually kind of took us under his wing and kind of sat us down and had us listening to people like the MJQs, Ahmed Jamal, Oscar Peterson, Milt Jackson, and all of the people that really did a lot of swing, so we learned how to swing from basically listening to a lot of that, plus being in the jazz band, which was under the direction of Tony Williams and Gerald Price. So we had a lot of help. God blessed us with a lot of help from adults that really knew about the genre of jazz and really
Bobby Nelson, Bobby Blackwell.
Bobby Nelson, that's right. Yep. Bobby Durham,
Yeah, Durham, yeah.
Al Jackson. These were some of the drummers who taught me. Huh?
Al Gray.
Al Gray, yep, trombonist, yep. So I mean, we had a lot of people in the area
All
in
of
the
these
field.
people would help. Yeah.
A lot of people helped us out as far as learning. Now, being the ages we were, of course, we knew how to play the R&B. You know, I mean, when we did the talent show in school, the first thing every time we ever played together, separately from the jazz band, the school jazz band, we played Reasons from Earth, Wind, and Fire, if I'm not mistaken, and Happy Music from the Blackbirds.
Oh, Happy Music, yeah.
That was our 2 songs we did in the talent show.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Also, I just wanted to, hear from you all. As Kimberly mentioned, I did have the pleasure of chatting with Justin last year when Groove Kid came out, and we talked, and then we talked a little bit off camera, and I was really struck by, obviously the dexterity he has, and his vocabulary as far as what he's hearing and his approach. What are some things, some words of wisdom, or some daily practice things that, or things just that you all imparted to him, as you work with him, work with such a talent?
Okay, first I just like to go back to the origin, and I first met him when and got to play with him when he was 12 years old. Alex Zonchek, who is a flautist that I've written for and produced and do gigs with every now and then, and kind
Detroit.
of often. Yeah, exactly. For the city sway,
Detroit.
I've done like a lot of things for him and do a lot of gigs with him often. So he called me for this one, and Justin Lee Schultz was the second keyboardist for it, and at the time he was 12 years old. So we're in like the camper, the trailer, talking about like all right, divvying up the keyboard parts. All right, you take this and and I'm letting them know, it's like, okay, well look, you don't want to have. Well, I guess this was one of the first things I told him. When you have two keyboard players, you don't want to have both of them playing a Fender Rhodes sound.
That's right.
An acoustic piano sound. If one's going to do one thing, then have one do the other thing. You don't waste 4 hands.
That's right.
Don't waste hands if you got them on stage, right? So so we worked stuff out, and that was our first time playing together. And after that, I basically just fell in love, and I was like, I just wanted to adopt him as my nephew.
Right.
I pretty much immediately called my partner, Kurt, and said, look, dude, we gotta try and work this out, and it took a bit of doing, because, at the time he's like, 12 years old. So it's not like we can just bring him on the road with us. All right, hey, look, meet us at the airport, get on the flight, and we'll see you at sound check. You know what I mean?
Right.
We had to also fly is
a parent.
at least one.
That's right.
And some gigs they would drive to, but some he had to fly to, but we did it, and it was worth it, because this was a young man who was an extremely talented individual, and not just because of his age, but I mean, he was handling the parts that need to be handled. You dig? And then solo, when it came time for him to solo, boom, he threw it down. He's just really and the extreme joy that you see that exudes from him when he plays is so captivating that we just had to showcase it. So we started doing that. Next thing you know, he's got a record deal on our same label, Shawnee Records, and Curtis and I are on his first single, and I wrote it, Then Curtis wrote some stuff for him to be featured on for Pieces of a Dreams album. And so he's featured on that as well. You dig? And not only that, the Motor City Sway that I did for Alexandric, this was before he even played on Pieces stuff or had a record deal of his own. I wanted to try and introduce him, so I featured him on that as well. So he's taking a solo on Motor City Sway. If you check that out. So that, I mean, we just have so much love for Justin, and we really feel like this is us doing for him kind of what Grover did for us. You know, this is the evolution. This is the paying it forward. This is what our musical dad would want us to do. You dig? This is how it goes. This is how you perpetuate the genre that we help to co-create.
Yes.
Yeah, this is what we're trying to pay it forward, because I mean, we've been blessed, you know, by God with such a talent, you know, of our own, that we when we see a talent that's similar to the way we came up, you know, it just makes sense to just go ahead and help embellish that talent for that person also, and give them the same chances that we've had. I mean, you know, because another kid off the street is another kid out of trouble. You know, what I mean?
Very real.
So, you know, so you know, not only have we become so attached to him, but his personality is just so genuine, and he's such a nice kid. You know what I mean? It just makes you want to, like, you know, be around him. And like James said, you know, we're kind of like his uncles, you know what I mean? So, you know, I've even called him and told him, you know, about how Grover brought us up, and how, you know, some of the things that he's taught us musically, like how to let music breathe, and you know, you're not getting paid by the note, so you know, don't play, try to play everything all at the same time. You know what I mean? But you know, and I also let him know that, you know, if you ever have anything you want to talk about that even doesn't have to do with music, you know, we're here for you for that too. You know what I mean? So, you know, even if it's like you find your popularity kind of a little hard to take sometimes, or what you know, if it's kind of saying anything's weighing down on you about that, you know what I mean, you can still talk to us about those kind of things too. You know, we're here, you know, to be your support, you know, whenever you need us.
No, that's beautiful. And I think, you know, just listening to you all, and again, talking about paying it forward, I think that's just, and I had one other quick thing that I wanted to ask you all, as pioneers and progenitors, you know, of the smooth jazz sound. You know, what are your thoughts on, you know, where the music is going, or maybe even where it's going? Like, what are some discussions you all may have had, having seen, you know?
let me say one thing. You know, I never really considered us smooth jazz.
Okay. All right.
What I would actually classify us as is jazz funk.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Yep.
Because I mean, we do have songs that we've written that people would consider nice and smooth, but when you see us live, even those songs take on a persona of the funk genre. You know what I mean? And you know, and our shows are very high energy, and you know, we try to get the audiences as riled up as possible. You know, so I don't really consider us a smooth jazz. You know, smooth jazz to me kind of personifies somebody that's a little more docile than we are.
Okay.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Okay.
You know what? I personally prefer the old school term, which was contemporary jazz, which means, by definition, just jazz of today. You know, which contemporary jazz at one time was bebop. You know, contemporary jazz at one time was avant-garde. Contemporary jazz at one time was big band swing. You know, contemporary jazz at one time was smooth jazz. You know, contemporary jazz right now is whatever it is. You know, every time it was fusion. You know, that I guess that was a part or a branch of contemporary jazz. You know, but what I and Curtis, and I think we as Pieces of a Dream try to do is always infuse different things and elements and genres into smooth jazz. You know, so you'll find some things that might sound, wow, that's got like a country vibe, or that's got like a Latin vibe, or that's got like a Caribbean vibe, or that's got like a, you know, okay, that's got like a funk vibe, or that's got like an R&B. Oh, wait a minute, that's got like a trap vibe, you know. So there's a song where on this current album where I'm trying to fuse trap with smooth jazz, you know, smooth trap. There you go.
There you go.
Trap is a new thing, smooth trap. You dig? But really, you can fuse different types of music, I think, with anything. You know, it's interchangeable. I think it's all in just how you do it and how it's presented. And you know, it depends on your audience, you know, what kind of things they're going to like and expect from you. So what we do is not only try to put out what people come to know and expect and we think want from Pieces, but push the envelope and move forward and pass, you know, and try and start some other stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
kick it up a notch.
Who has crack,
you
know, you know, and whatnot. You know, like we had a song that's, you know, that was used by rappers and whatnot. You know,
yes, you do. Yes, you do.
It was right way, and some of it was done the wrong way. We were right, but I mean, you know, yeah. How many smooth jazz artists have, you know, been on like Soul Train? You know what I mean? Like with the original with Don Cornelius. You know what I mean? Or, you know, the things that we've got to do. We've got to open for Count Basie, but we've also got to back James Brown on the Lou Rawls Parade of Stars telethon for 2 tunes. You know, so it's like we run the gamut for and back people like Betty Carter and Joe Williams and
still be on the same show with people like Rick James, Shaka Khan.
And Ciara and and Big Daddy King.
Wow.
You know, and Kashif, you dig? Heat Wave, Earth, Wind and Fire, you know, Morris Day and the Time. It's like it's just we shared a stage with so many people, made so many friends, and you know, established such a family, you know, on the road and within the musical community, and it's just been living a blessing. It really has, and it's continuing. You know, we're coming up on, you know, okay, this is 45th anniversary tomorrow, you know, as of this showing, but you know, we're young enough. Come on, our golden anniversary is right around the corner, man. Wow. 50 years. You know, how many bands can say that?
And still doing it. That's right.
Real
big way.
And God willing, we will have another. We will have a 50th anniversary. So,
Our last question for you is: what is your definition of grown folks music?
Music that kids don't know nothing about. like that. Funny because my son made me like he put a bunch of stuff on my phone for me. This is some years ago, right? And he was only about 16 or 17. But he put people like Will Smith, Marvin Gaye, Shaka Khan, Sade, and I'm like, what you know about these people? You know, but you know, we did always say that he has an old soul. He had an old soul when he was younger, but it's like that's what I consider grown folks music like that, and to have him put that stuff on my phone, and when I started listening to it, I almost had to turn around, come back home, and go, "Yo, dude, where'd you get this from?" You know, and but because he definitely shocked me with that when he said he wanted to put some stuff on my phone. But yeah, it's music that you know, makes you know how grown folks get to moving with the shoulders, and you know, the kids don't know nothing about yet. And grown folks music makes you feel a certain way. You know, it makes you feel that love energy for music and for life itself. You know what I mean? Instead of, you know, and not to say that a lot of kids' music today is destructive, but some of it is, you know what I mean? Grown folks' music is not destructive. It's about love. It's about sharing. It's about unity. You know, it's about helping one another. You know what I mean? And it's about that love for life itself.
Yeah, grown folks music.
That's what I'm talking about.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yep.
You know, Marvin Gaye.
Commodores.
Luther Vandross.
Mm-hmm.
Grover Washington Jr.
Teddy Pendergrass.
Yes, sir.
Would I be remiss if I didn't throw some Pieces of a Dream?
Pieces of a Dream, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
Grover Washington Jr. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
That's grown folk music.
Parliament Funkadelic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You know.
Pieces of a Dream. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. You've been wonderful to talk to. Thank you for sharing the stories and the history with us. Congratulations on 45 years in this thing, and you're still thriving. You're not just surviving, you're thriving. And that's a blessing. That's a blessing.
You know, we like to say a couple of things. Well, I would anyway. One is we would love to thank our fans that from all over for actually helping us to get this far. Because without the DJs, the fans, the TV people like you who keep us in the public eye, we couldn't be here. We couldn't be here. So, you know, we owe our careers to you guys also. Also, I'd like to say to the parents out there that if you have young kids, every kid has a talent. And it's up to us as parents to look for that talent and help them embellish that talent. Because like I said earlier, any kid off the street is a kid out of trouble, you know? So if you can find their talent and occupy their time with that talent, occupy their mind with that talent, then that's a kid that you're helping to build a future for. And that, you know, that's what we need more of today. You know, parents taking time to pay attention, you know, and help their kids embellish their talent, find their talents, and then embellish their talents.
How about, what else can you put on top of that? But you know what? How about this? Spread more love, you know, especially nowadays. Do your best to spread love, period. Not anything else, just spread love, you know? And there's so much love and healing and in the power of music. You dig? So embrace that. You know, if you're ever feeling you get to a point where it's hard to spread that love, listen to some music, and that'll probably change your outlook.
For sure. With that, God bless you. Thank you. Have a good evening. All the best with new album. If you guys are going out on the road, you know what? That reminds me, it is time for Shout It Out. I almost forgot. If you are going out on the road, what that means is that you can shout out all things Pieces of a Dream. Tell us where we can get fired up. The album, if you're going to be appearing anywhere, if you have social media platforms and or a website, tell us where we can get all things Pieces of a Dream.
Yay! Let's see. You could hit me up on MySpace and my beep. I'll give y'all my beep.
Oh my God.
That's good.
Oh, seriously?
Don't call after 9. You know, 'cause mama, you know.
No, we have Pieces of a Dream. Our website is piecesofadream.net, which is under construction right now. Also, we do have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages that you can hit us up on. And you can also hit us up on our separate pages. I have Curtis Harmon Music, and James Lloyd has his own page. And there's also Pieces of a Dream music page also.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you
And
so
our
much.
CDs are also being sold on CD Baby, Amazon, and all the other platforms that you can download and purchase music on.
Yeah, we got a concert coming up at the Jazz Legacy Foundation down in
Norfolk, Virginia, Hampton. I'm sorry.
Oh
right.
yeah, that's sort of near me. Yeah,
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Thursday, November the 11th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's yes, correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we got, let me see, and we got Andy.
Andiamos, yeah.
Right, we got Andy Amos coming up. In
That's
December.
Michigan.
For 12th.
Yeah, that's in Michigan, right.
That's Detroit. I'm from Detroit, so I know it's
and then
that's
we're
why
going to be doing the Lowe's in Chicago also.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Yeah. And you can catch me appearing with Alex Zonchek at Spaghettini's on November 7th.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Alex Zonchek and my keyboard idol and friend Jeff Lorber. So
Nice. Yeah, nice.
Just like double keyboard, just madness, going crazy up in there in Spaghettini's, just wilding out up in the place.
He's a wild kind of guy.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then we have a bunch of things coming up, early in the year as well.
Mhm.
So, look out for the Piece of Dream schedule coming near you. And
Hope to see you there.
going
Yeah.
to see you there.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
It's been our pleasure.
All
Bless
right.
y'all too.
Have a good evening.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.